All right.
Alright, so hello. My name is Keenan and I'll be speaking on Michael Jordan. My proposition is that Michael Jordan has influenced sports more than any other athlete that have ever lived. I say these things because he has influenced sports both on and off the hardwood. He has influenced basketball. He has changed the way the game has been played, and he has also changed the way the game has looked with fashion and shoes and everything else. So how he changed the game on the hardwood. So Michael Jordan is widely recognized as the greatest basketball player to ever live. ESPN says that. NBA.com claims that he's the greatest NBA player of all time. Many sources claim that he's the greatest player of all time. He influenced, he changed the game of basketball, how it is played, because before basketball was more of a big man's game. He was one of the first small men to actually do it. He played basketball more as an individual sport than as a team sport. Basketball was played more with an open court before he started playing. He played it more individually. He was more of the team. It was Michael Jordan and the Bulls. As the greatest point guard, Magic Johnson has said, there's Michael Jordan and there's everybody else. Larry Bird has even said it's God disguised as Michael Jordan. Michael Jordan, he didn't just change the game how it's played with making it more of an individual game. He popularized some moves like the slam dunk and the layup. In 1988, he won the dunk contest and that changed the game forever, making everybody want to become Air Jordan. Everybody wanted to become Air Jordan. Everybody wanted to take off from the free throw line like him. Everybody wanted to stick his tongue out like him. He changed the game. Just as Kobe said, Kobe said, seriously, I don't think people understand the amount of impact he has had on me as a player and as a leader. Many players emulate Michael Jordan as a player because of his wide success on the court. One of his biggest and most uncredited success is his change the game of fashion on the court. He actually popularized the baggy shorts. Back in the day, it was more of the John Stockton short shorts up to your upper thighs, like that type of stuff. But no, Jordan, he wanted to wear his college shorts under his NBA shorts, but he didn't have enough room with his the short shorts. So he brought in 1989 the baggy shorts, and from there it was history. He was the first player to play with it, and then the next season, his teammate Scottie Pippen requested from Champion that he have baggy shorts, and from there, every single player requested it. But his influence is actually, I believe, his influence is more influential off the hardwood, where he revolutionized fashion, sneakers, and fashion and sneakers. So Michael Jordan, he created the most popular shoe brand of all time, Jordan. He changed the way that athletes can be marketed. Before, athletes weren't marketed like how they are today. They were marketed as just like athletes. Michael Jordan was marketed as an icon. His last name became synonymous with basketball, and his last name became synonymous with shoes. He created Air Jordans. Which are right now the #1 selling shoe of all time. He changed how athletes can be marketed. He was the first athlete to be marketed as like, how can I say, he was the first athlete to be marketed as a brand. He wasn't just a player, but he in himself was a brand. His shoes are widely sought after, and as LaMarcus Aldridge said, in my neighborhood, when you if you were growing up and you had Jordans, or in my neighborhood growing up, Jordans were known as grails. Jordans were known as holy grails. They were known to be, if you had Jordans, you had some sort of status. You had some sort of status. He was as well the first athlete to cross over into fashion with his sneakers. No athlete prior to him has ever tried to even create shoes or brand themselves as Michael Jordan did. So Michael, he influenced the game both on and off the hardwood, and he is the most influential athlete of all time. Okay, let me say one real quick for you.
Merci.
Video.
All right, I think you could use a more effective attention device, but the topic is very clear from the beginning, and you have a very clear statement of what your proposition is. On the secondary issues, you preview them. I think you rushed through them. Mostly they are just topic areas. I think you want to make declarative statements in your preview so that we know what inferences you're going to draw on, not just what the topics are, but what the claim is you're going to make on those particular points. The signpost on point 1 was pretty clear, and you did a good job. I thought that was the one that's probably easiest for you to prove because you can rely on all of his stats and accomplishments. Plus, you've got several quotes there that where people, in essence, are giving him, granting him that particular status. Being the best at a particular game, though, why is that important? For instance, in talking about the influence that he has on sports. I think you need to kind of explain that being recognized as the best in your particular field is kind of a prerequisite for being important in all sports. And that would explain a little bit more why those accolades matter on that individual point. The other 2 points are the ones that broaden your argument because you say it's he's influenced sports more than any other athlete, not just basketball, because if you were just sticking to basketball, then that first point clearly belongs. But you're suggesting that we're going beyond basketball. We're talking about his impact on the court, which again is basketball stuff, but off the court, which is that third point that you're getting to, suggests that he has a greater influence on the society, the culture, marketing, economics, all those kinds of arguments. And I think that you had some information that led us to that direction. I'm not sure that you're selling it quite as much as you need to. We got no comparative information, and I think that that's a little bit problematic. The signposts on the supporting structure when you're presenting could be a little bit tighter. I could tell when you had gone from one point to the next. Again, I think the casual listeners might miss it sometimes because you're not doing anything distinctive to indicate that you're moving from one point to another. When you're speaking, it's just like the next sentence. And whether you pause, whether you use a numerical signpost, or you have some transition language, it'll be easier for the audience to see where we're headed and how we're progressing if you would make that extra effort. And like I said, I'm trying to listen carefully so I could, it's not disorganized. You followed your structure, that part's clear. I'm just saying, you got to help everybody else see that you're doing that sort of thing. The evidence that you presented I thought was pretty good on, like I said, on the first point. I don't think there's a lot of controversy on that point, and you have good data on that. The influence that he had on the game, I think there are a couple of things that are pretty good. For instance, the way everybody followed his lead on the fashion thing, I thought that was interesting. The information about the way he played on the court, the dunk thing, for instance, I think that you need to get a little bit more information here. You tell a good story about his performance at the slam dunk contest, and then the next thing I know, that was the start of it, as if nobody had slam dunked before Michael Jordan did in this competition in 1986, and I know that can't possibly be the case. So what was unique or different about it? There might be comments from the time period, sports writers or contemporary players who suddenly said, whoa, we never thought of doing things this way. Or it might have been something that was widely talked about in the media. I mean, one of the things that I remember from the time is how people were amazed at his hang time and how that was seen as being something very distinctive. And in fact, when you talk about branding later on, that's one of the things that's distinct about his branding. He's got that whole image, the logo of himself flying toward the basket, looking like he's suspended in air, and that's because that seemed different and distinctive. And you need to get some information to talk about that kind of thing to back up your point. I'm not challenging the point that you're making. I'm just saying you got to make a better argument for that particular point. And then I thought that when you got to the last point about the marketing, you were partially there. The shoe thing, I think, is pretty good, but this is a place where I think you've missed a lot of possible information. You need to get outside of the field of sports and just look at, if you'd gone into the advertising or marketing field and done some research, you would see there are just tons of people who've made the argument that you're making, that he was a pivotal figure in the way sports get marketed now. And I don't hear any experts talking about that. I just kind of hear you enthusiastically embracing it, which is not a bad thing, but let's face it, I don't know how much I trust you. So you got to get some other data to back you up on those points. All right, thank you.